Bohemia. The very word suggests something unusual, something out of the norm, and so it is for the Bohemia Spillway. What is the Bohemia Spillway? It's land, but a rare type of land in Louisiana. It's land where something unusual is happening, but that's getting ahead of the story. The spillway is located along the Great Mississippi River in southeast Louisiana, 50 miles south of New Orleans. Almost everywhere in Louisiana, the Mississippi River has been controlled by levees, long earthen walls that hold back the river's water. Levees prevent flooding, but also prevent the natural process that occurred for eons in which the river overflows its banks and in doing so replenishes the wetlands with fresh water, sediment, and nutrients. But then there's Bohemia. In the 1920s, the river was rising more and more every year at New Orleans. Something had to be done. The state authorized the Orleans Levee District to create an outlet for the river to relieve floodwater. In 1926, 1 year prior to the Great Flood of 1927, the district created the Bohemia Spillway, named after a local plantation. Simply by removing a 12-mile stretch of the artificial levee, the river could flow freely, and so began an unpredicted and unprecedented scientific experiment. For the last 80 years, the Bohemia Spillway flowed when the river reached the flood stage. Unfortunately, the record of the spillway is incomplete, and there is much we don't know. But what we do know is that the wetlands near or within the spillway are atypical for Louisiana without high rates of decline or collapse. Could it be that the river's incidental reconnection to the Bohemia Spillway has somehow benefited the wetlands? Could it be that these wetlands are more resilient because of the river? Could this land of historic mystery hold secrets to our future prosperity? That's what a team of scientists from the Lake Pontchartrain Basin Foundation want to know.
The history of Bohemia is largely unwritten, but we're trying to piece together what we can. The levees were never rebuilt, so in that sense, it has acted as a floodway or relief valve in some capacity since the beginning. And the control of the spillway seems to have evolved also. It's not really had a very global vision of management other than the very first thing, that those river levees were removed and never rebuilt.
While Bohemia's history remains uncertain, it's important to begin studying the area. In the spring of 2011, during a record flood on the Mississippi, Dr. Lopez and his team began an effort to track the river and the ways in which it moved through Bohemia during flood stage.
Being in coastal restoration for a while, the things we were seeing were things that you might spend a lot of time in your office trying to imagine what it was like. And here you can actually go and see it. When I've taken people down there, I sometimes tell them, say that this boat is a time machine. Basically you're going back and see, how the river may have worked, 200-300 years ago. Where we're located is on the road along the Bohemia Spillway. To my right, about 100 yards, is the Mississippi River. And in this water at my feet here, the current is flowing from right to left from the river into the adjacent forest, and then through that forest to the marsh.
Other than a few hunting camps and some oil and gas infrastructure, Bohemia is an undeveloped and wild environment. During the hot months of the flood, it's anything but a comfortable place to be.
We didn't know what to expect, and even people that had been down there didn't really know what was going on, to be honest. We came here in low water, and this was back over here, just a barren, dry mud gully. It opened up like you see now, but at high water, it's actively eroding the bank. You can see a tree right here that slumped off just recently. Obviously, very vigorous flow. One is what you're seeing here. It's kind of a very unusual phenomenon for Louisiana. You're seeing an underground flow. That water is actually going underground. It's passing beneath solid land surface over here and then flowing out into the oil and gas canal.
And since there's not been a comprehensive effort to track flooding in Bohemia in the 80 years it's been open, there were constant discoveries to be made and challenges to be overcome.
On Ezra's right, we're at about a foot. On his immediate left, we're at about 5, and beyond almost 6. Yeah, it gets deep real fast. So it doesn't look like we'll be making the crossing here. This could be one of several more points just like this.
We also saw something very exciting at as the flood was waning this year. We went back. There were two places where the road had washed out or created some breaches in the road. And during the height of the flood, the water was flowing enough where we couldn't survey it. So we went back when the river was lower, thinking we could go ahead and do our survey. This breach had developed into a major course for the water to flow, and so much so that this channel was actually cutting its way to the river. And it came literally 130 feet from cutting a new channel from the river to the wetlands. It was just a glimmer of the true force of the river.
While the evidence of the 2011 flood and its land-building impacts are still being studied, it remains clear that Bohemia is a unique landscape on a dramatically altered coastline.
The science of reconnecting the river to the wetlands is still emerging, and there's a lot of uncertainty how to build these structures, how to operate them, what the expectations might be of them. So Bohemia gives us a real-life laboratory to look at, and if we can understand the processes of how the river is helping support those wetlands, then we have a basis to try and emulate that process through other artificial diversions.
Still, Bohemia represents an earlier time when nature had its way and the river could flow freely. It is through this that we can learn how to manage the Mississippi River for the future of coastal Louisiana.